In a small village on the southern coast of Crete, there is a population of men who have puzzled researchers for decades. These men, many of them well into their 80s and 90s, display cardiovascular health markers that scientists would expect to see in men half their age. Their blood vessels remain flexible and responsive, their circulation stays robust. Their energy levels and physical vitality persist long past the age when most men in the Western world have accepted significant decline as inevitable. And when researchers began investigating what made these men so remarkably different from their counterparts in other countries, one common thread emerged over and over again. Every single evening, these men consumed a generous portion of extra virgin olive oil, often mixed, with specific local herbs and spices as a nightly ritual that had been passed down through generations. This wasn't a coincidence, and it wasn't simply the olive oil alone that was responsible. It was the olive oil combined with specific bioactive compounds that, when consumed together before sleep, created a synergistic effect on the overnight repair processes that maintain cardiovascular health and circulatory function. Modern science has now identified exactly what those compounds are, how they interact with olive oil at the molecular level, and why consuming them before bed specifically is so much more effective than consuming them at any other time of day. I'm Nick Norwitz, and today I'm going to share with you the science behind this nightly olive oil ritual, explain why olive oil is such a uniquely powerful base for these combinations, music, and reveal 4 specific ingredients that, when stirred into olive oil and consumed before bed, can genuinely transform your morning circulation. The 4th one has a mechanism that most health professionals have never even heard of. So please stay with me through this entire video. Let's start with extra virgin olive oil itself and why it serves as such an extraordinary foundation for this nightly practice. Extra virgin olive oil is not just a cooking fat, it is one of the most pharmacologically complex foods in the human diet. Health are hydroxyoloripine and oleoamyl. Hydroxyrosol is one of the most potent natural antioxidants ever measured. Its oxygen radical absorbance capacity exceeds that of vitamin, music C, vitamin E, and coenzyme Q10. When you consume extra virgin olive oil, hydroxyosol is absorbed into your bloodstream and distributed to, during sleep, when your body is actively repairing and regenerating your blood vessel lining. This antioxidant protection is particularly valuable because it shields the newly forming endothelial cells from the oxidative stress that would otherwise compromise their function before they even fully mature. Oleuropein, another key polyphenol in olive oil, has been shown to directly stimulate nitric oxide production in endothelial cells. It activates the enzyme endothelial nitric oxide synthase through a signaling pathway involving the phosphorylation of specific proteins that enhance the enzyme's activity. Music, more active endothelial nitric oxide synthase means more nitric oxide production, which means better vasodilation and improved blood flow when consumed before bed. Oleuropein supports nitric oxide production during the overnight hours, when your endothelium is undergoing its most active repair and regeneration cycle. Oleoanthol is perhaps the most fascinating compound in olive oil. It has been shown to have anti-inflammatory effects that are pharmacologically similar to ibuprofen music, though it works through slightly different molecular mechanisms. Oleoanthol inhibits both cyclooxygenase 1 and cyclo-oxygenase 2 enzymes, reducing the production of inflammatory prostaglandins that damage blood vessel walls. Chronic vascular inflammation is one of the primary drivers of endothelial dysfunction and circulatory decline with age. By consuming oleoanthol nightly before bed, you provide your body with anti-inflammatory protection during the critical overnight repair window, music, helping to ensure that the inflammatory damage accumulated during the day is resolved rather than perpetuated. Music. The fatty acid composition of olive oil is also critically important. Approximately 70 to 80% of olive oil consists of oleic acid, a monounsaturated fatty acid that has its own direct effects on vascular health. Oleic acid has been shown to improve endothelial function, reduce inflammatory markers, and support healthy blood lipid profiles. but oleic acid also serves a crucial practical function in the combinations we're about to discuss. It is an exceptional solvent and carrier for fats-soluble bioactive compounds. Many of the most powerful natural compounds for cardiovascular health are fat-soluble, meaning they dissolve in fat but not in water. When these compounds are stirred into olive oil, the oleic acid dissolves them, holds them in solution, and dramatically enhances their absorption across the intestinal wall during digestion. This carrier effect makes olive oil one of the most effective natural delivery vehicles available for fats-soluble therapeutics. Now, here's why timing matters so much. During sleep, your body enters its most intensive cardiovascular repair mode. Your parasympathetic nervous system becomes dominant. Blood pressure naturally drops in what researchers call nocturnal dipping. Growth hormone is released in pulses that promote tissue repair, and your endothelial cells undergo their most active regeneration cycle. The compounds in olive oil and its additions are absorbed during the early hours of sleep and become available to your body precisely when this repair work is at its peak. By providing these compounds before bed, you ensure they are present in your bloodstream during the exact window when your cardiovascular system can use them most effectively. Now let's talk about what to stir into your olive oil, because this is where things become truly extraordinary. The first ingredient is raw cacao powder, and the synergy it creates with olive oil is both scientifically elegant and practically powerful. Raw cacao contains epicin, one of the most well-studied flavonols for cardiovascular health. Music, epitecin directly activates endothelial nitric oxide synthase, the same enzyme that oleuropein from olive oil also supports. But epicin and oleuropein activate this enzyme through music different upstream signaling pathways. Epitecin works primarily through the PI3K music act pathway, while oleuropein works through a different phosphorylation cascade. When two compounds activate the same target enzyme through different routes, the combined effect on enzyme activity is typically greater than either achieves alone. This is pharmacological synergy in its most precise form. Music. Epicin also inhibits phosphodiesterase type 5. Music, the enzyme that breaks down cyclic GMP, the downstream messenger that carries out the vasodilation signal from nitric music oxide by slowing the destruction of cyclic GMP. Epicin allows the vasodilation signal to persist longer and accumulate to higher levels. Combined with the increased nitric oxide production from both epicin and oleuropein, this phosphodiesterase inhibition creates a powerful amplification of the entire nitric oxide cyclic GMP vasodilation cascade. Music. But here's where the olive oil carrier effect becomes crucial. Epicin is a flavanol with limited water solubility. When consumed in water-based preparations, a significant portion passes through the digestive system without being fully absorbed. When epicin is dissolved in the oleic acid of olive oil, its solubility is dramatically improved, and the fat-mediated absorption pathway in your intestines carries it into your bloodstream much more efficiently. Research has shown that the bioavailability of flavonols is significantly enhanced when consumed with dietary fat. And olive oil provides the ideal fat matrix for this purpose. To combine cacao with olive oil, stir 1 to 2 teaspoons of raw cacao powder into 1 tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil until fully incorporated. The mixture forms a thick, rich, chocolate-like paste that is surprisingly delicious and deeply satisfying to consume before bed. The second ingredient is turmeric with a pinch of black pepper, and the rationale for combining it with olive oil at bedtime is grounded in both absorption science and the biology of overnight repair. Turmeric contains curcumin, one of the most potent natural anti-inflammatory compounds known to science. Curcumin inhibits the nuclear factor kappa B pathway, the master switch controlling inflammatory gene expression throughout the body. By modulating this pathway, curcumin reduces the production of the inflammatory cytokines, prostaglandins, and adhesion molecules that damage your endothelial lining and impair its ability to produce nitric oxide. When consumed before bed, curcumin provides anti-inflammatory protection during the overnight hours, when your body is most actively working to repair inflammatory damage in your blood vessels. Curcumin also directly improves endothelial function. Clinical trials have demonstrated measurable improvements in flow-mediated dilation following regular curcumin consumption, with one notable study showing improvements comparable to moderate aerobic exercise. This endothelial enhancement occurring during the overnight repair window helps ensure that your endothelium wakes up healthier and more functional than it was when you went to sleep. The absorption challenge with curcumin is well documented. Its oral bioavailability when consumed alone is less than 1%. Piperine from black pepper increases absorption by approximately 2,000% by inhibiting the liver enzymes that break curcumin down. But dissolving curcumin in olive oil adds another layer of absorption enhancement. Curcumin is a lipophilic compound, meaning it dissolves readily in fat. When stirred into olive oil, curcumin is solubilized in the oleic acid matrix, which protects it from aqueous degradation in the digestive tract and delivers it through the fat absorption pathway in the intestines. The combination of fat solubilization from olive oil and enzyme inhibition from piperine creates a dramatically superior delivery system for curcumin compared to any single enhancement approach alone. There's also an elegant anti-inflammatory synergy between curcumin and oleoanthal from the olive oil. Both compounds reduce inflammation, but through different molecular targets. Oleoanthal primarily inhibits cyclooxygenase enzymes, while curcumin primarily modulates nuclear factor kappa B, music. Together, they provide broader anti-inflammatory coverage that addresses more inflammatory pathways, music, than either compound alone, creating more comprehensive overnight vascular protection. Stir 1 teaspoon of ground turmeric and a generous pinch of freshly ground black pepper into your tablespoon of olive oil. The turmeric turns the oil a rich golden color and adds a warm, earthy depth to the flavor. Music. The third ingredient is one that creates a uniquely powerful bedtime combination with olive oil, and that's ashwagandha root powder. The science behind this pairing addresses what I consider one of the most overlooked aspects of overnight vascular recovery, the impact of stress hormones on blood vessel health. Ashwagandha is classified as an adaptogen, meaning it helps your body adapt to and recover from various forms of stress. Its active compounds called withanolides have been shown in multiple clinical trials to significantly reduce cortisol levels, improve stress resilience, and support healthy hormonal balance. And cortisol is one of the most destructive forces acting on your cardiovascular system, particularly during the nighttime hours when its levels should naturally drop to allow recovery. When cortisol remains elevated at night, which is increasingly common in men dealing with chronic stress, poor sleep habits, or metabolic dysfunction, it directly interferes with virtually every aspect of overnight cardiovascular repair. Elevated nocturnal cortisol constricts blood vessels, increases blood pressure, promotes vascular inflammation, impairs nitric oxide production, suppresses growth hormone release, reduces testosterone production, music, and prevents the deep sleep stages where the most significant physical recovery occurs. Essentially, music-high nighttime cortisol sabotages the entire overnight repair process that your cardiovascular system depends on. By reducing cortisol levels before and during sleep, ashwagandha creates a hormonal environment optimized for deep restoration. Research has shown that ashwagandha supplementation improves sleep quality scores, increases time spent in deep sleep stages, and reduces the time it takes to fall asleep. With lower cortisol and deeper sleep, your body can perform its vascular repair work more effectively, producing a morning cardiovascular state that is measurably healthier than it would be without the cortisol reduction. Ashwagandha has also been shown in several studies to support healthy testosterone levels in men. Since testosterone production peaks during sleep, the combination of reduced cortisol and improved sleep depth creates ideal conditions for overnight testosterone optimization. Testosterone supports vascular health through multiple mechanisms, including maintaining endothelial function and promoting nitric oxide production. The ethanolides and ashwagandha are fat-soluble compounds, which means olive oil is an ideal carrier for their delivery. When ashwagandha powder is stirred into olive oil, the oleic acid dissolves the withanolides and enhances their absorption through music, the fat-mediated intestinal pathway. This is significantly more effective than consuming ashwagandha powder in water or in capsule music form without a fat source. Add 1/4 to 1.2 teaspoon of high-quality ashwagandha root extract powder to your olive oil mixture. Music. The flavor is earthy and slightly bitter, but when combined with the cacao and cinnamon from other additions, it blends into the overall flavor profile without being prominent. The fourth ingredient is the one I saved for last because its mechanism is the most unexpected and its synergy with olive oil at bedtime is the most elegant. That ingredient is pomegranate music seed oil. Not pomegranate juice, not pomegranate extract, but the oil, specifically music, pressed from pomegranate seeds. Pomegranate seed oil contains an extraordinarily rare fatty acid called penic acid, which makes up roughly 65 to 80% of its total fatty acid content. Music punic acid is a conjugated linolenic acid that is found in virtually no other commonly available food source, and its effects on vascular health are genuinely fascinating. Research has shown that penicic acid has potent anti-inflammatory and antioxidant effects that are distinct from both the oleic acid in olive oil and the polyphenol in cacao and turmeric. Punic acid appears to modulate inflammatory pathways through mechanisms involving peroxisome proliferator activated receptors, which are nuclear receptors that regulate the expression of genes involved in inflammation, fat metabolism, music, and glucose handling. By activating these receptors, punic acid helps shift the body's metabolic and inflammatory state in a direction that supports vascular health and healthy blood flow. But the truly surprising mechanism of pomegranate seed oil involves its effect on the enzyme peroxidase. 1. Peroxidase 1 is an enzyme produced by your liver that travels in your bloodstream attached to HDL cholesterol particles. Its primary function is to protect LDL cholesterol from oxidation. Music. An oxidized LDL is one of the most destructive agents in your cardiovascular system. It triggers inflammatory cascades in your artery walls, promotes the formation of arterial plaques, damages endothelial cells, and impairs nitric oxide production. By enhancing peroxidase 1 activity, music pomegranate seed oil helps prevent LDL oxidation at its source, protecting your endothelium from one of the most significant threats it faces. Music research has demonstrated that pomegranate compounds can increase peroxidase 1 activity and reduce oxidized LDL levels. When this protection is provided during the overnight hours, when your liver is most actively processing blood lipids and your blood vessels are undergoing repair, music, the effect on morning vascular health can be significant. When pomegranate seed oil is mixed with extra virgin olive oil, music, the two oils combine beautifully.